Hey everyone, welcome to the Edge of It All. I'm your host, Trey Edge, and I look forward to going on this journey with you. Each episode, I'll talk to guests of all walks of life, and I'll ask them the behind-the-scenes truths we all want to know. I'll reach out to newsmakers, celebrities, athletes, and ordinary individuals who were there during some of the biggest events of our time. Together, we will hear the story behind the story. So let's get started. This is the Edge of It All. Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of The Edge of It All. We appreciate you joining us today on whatever podcast outlet you've chosen to join us on. Don't forget our home studio, where you can not only catch this podcast, but many, many other entertaining shows. That is at UBN International Network. That's UBN International Network. And also want to thank our sponsor for today's episode. Thank them for making this show possible. Are you tired of driving on tires that are flatter than a pancake? Don't worry. Discount Tires in Sherman Oaks, California has you covered. They've been around for over 40 years, specializing in servicing vehicles, selling tires, all the while making customer service their top priority. They have expert technicians on site to ensure that your car is running like a dream. If you mention the Edge of It All podcast, you'll score a free alignment check, brake inspection, or air check. Who knew saving money could be so easy? So why not give your car the love it deserves? Join the Discount Tires family today and go and get your freebie today. With that said, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest today. He is a true icon in the entertainment industry, an actor known for so many different things. His works in movies such as The Goonies, Stand By Me, Lost Boys, Friday the 13th. We can go on and on and on about the incredible work he's done on the screen, TV, all of it. He's a producer. He's also a musician, and that's one of the reasons we're here today, is because he's about to embark on a big U.S. tour. With that said, please welcome to the Edge of It All, Corey Feldman. Corey, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, how are you?
Appreciate you being with us today, man. We know you've got a lot going on. It's a wild enough ride that you're on in this entertainment industry, and sometimes business issues, personal issues, all that stuff pop up when you least expect it. And we know you've got a lot in your life going on, and it speaks to what a professional you are to come on our show and take the time to talk a little bit about your story. I know it can't always be easy to be a pro, but we really do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Yeah. We're gearing up, getting ready for another tour, getting ready to release a surprise single that we haven't actually talked about yet, but there's a new single coming out. I don't know exactly the format it's coming out yet, so I can't tell you a release date, but it is coming. And then we're getting ready to go on this tour, which is the continuation of the tour from last year, although the band will look a little bit different this time around.
Yeah. I want to take you back, and we're gonna get to that music and what you're about to start on. But looking back at your life and your career, you're kind of the definition of what people term childhood actors and what those people go through and that life that you've lived. But what was crazy to me in thinking about it was that it goes all the way back to when you were 3 years old in a commercial at McDonald's. How does that even happen?
Well, it's just fate, I suppose. God chooses what happens in our lives and what direction we're meant to lead, and the rest is in his hands. I guess there's no other way to put it other than that. Obviously, I didn't make a decision to get into a business at 3 years old. I was essentially brought in as a child slave, didn't have any right to make my own choices, didn't have the right to choose my own destiny. It was already pre-chosen, predetermined. And at a certain point, I had to make a decision whether, entertainment was something that I wanted to keep doing, or if I was going to, try and find a new outlet. Unfortunately, once you're known all over the world, there is no new outlet. So we're forced to face the option of either give it all up and go for broke, or dig in and do the best you can to keep things going. And so that's what I've done. And almost 50 years now I've been in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, and you've done such amazing work with such amazing people, and it's so
Thank you.
varied. It's so varied. I mean, we just talked about you starting at age 3 in a commercial, and you'd go into TV and commercials and movies, but it's kind of a parallel theme I wanted to ask you about, because you're getting ready to go on this tour to promote your music. And even during that time, when everyone knew you as this child actor, was it not music that I've heard you maybe say was your true love?
Well, yes, it was more of a natural love. Acting was what my parents opted for because that was, what was going to make the most money, and it was a business. So they wanted me to go on these commercial auditions constantly. And it was, I did over 100 commercials before I was 10 years old. Then I did over 100 films since then.
Yeah.
So it's just been work all the time. But with music, my dad was a musician and a singer. And so I always saw instruments set up in the living room. There was always rehearsals going on, there was always some sort of practice going on. So that was my life. Some dads walk into the garage and see their dad. I mean, some kids walk in and see their dad in the garage working on a car. Some kids walk in and see their dad working on a drum set or on a bass rig or whatever. But
Sure.
it's the same thing. It's still your trade. It's just a different field. And my sister, as a kid, was in the Mickey Mouse Club, which a lot of people don't realize. So
Oh,
she was
wow.
already singing and dancing at 7 years old when I was only 3. And at 3, the way that I got commercials wasn't by reading a script or by going in and getting the part because of my incredible acting talents. It was because I was just a cute kid who had some personality. And the way my mom showed my personality was basically putting me in a room with a record player and forcing me to learn these songs.
Hmm.
And then I would learn these songs. I couldn't come out of my room until I learned them backwards and forwards. But I would learn these songs and I would go and sing them on auditions.
Oh, wow.
And that's actually how I started my career. So even though people don't realize that I'd been singing first, I was actually singing before I was acting.
That's amazing. Yeah, you wouldn't know that. I mean, I knew that was your a passion, or maybe the love that you were born with in that music. But were you the kid who, you know, did like pretend concerts and
Yep,
had
that
instruments
was
set up
me.
with all that kind of stuff?
Yep,
Was that you?
exactly. We did. My friends and I used to like bring out pots and pans and sticks and rubber gloves, and we'd sit there and make fake concerts in the front yard with like air guitar and some pots and pans, and
That's
in our
crazy.
mind it was great. But yeah, I did that. But I also dressed up in superhero costumes and ran around trying to save the world half the time. So I had a pretty vivid imagination, but it was always centered around entertaining.
Yeah.
So
Well, you've certainly done that, and I want to get to your tour here in just a minute, but I do want to ask you, and I know you spent a lot of time. You've done probably thousands of interviews and things like that, where you've talked about individual projects and things like that. But what I wanted to ask you is, when you look back, if Corey Feldman looks there and says, call me child actor, whatever it is you want to do, is there something? What's the first project or film or whatever it is that jumps to your head that makes you smile?
you mean of mine?
Yes, of yours, that makes you
Hmm.
smile.
Um. Oh boy.
It's a
Uh.
lot to choose. It's a lot to choose from.
Yeah. Um. I don't know. It's a hard question for me right now, to be honest. I'm
I
not in a very
understand.
happy mood. I'm going through a separation with my wife, and I'm pretty shell shocked right now. So
I understand, and
I
again,
got I
that's
got to promote my tour because that's what I got to
yeah.
do. But it's yeah, it's hard to find happy moment thoughts
I
right now.
understand that. I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, let me give them to you then. How about that?
Okay.
Because when I talk to people, it's funny how varied that answer is. It can be something like a movie like The Goonies or The Burbs. I had a conversation with somebody today that was talking about how great the Burbs were. It can
Thank
be
you.
work in Lost Boys. It can be a voiceover from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it may be tough for you to find that today. I think the beauty of it is that you've given that to other people. So I know it's
Thank
hard
you.
personally on a day like today, but there is a smile to be found. And I hope that in some way helps. Doesn't
Thank you.
fix things. I get that, but it
I
doesn't
appreciate
help.
it.
Let me ask you
Well,
this.
nothing
Go ahead.
can
I'm
mend a
sorry.
broken heart.
I hear you. Your story, though, has been one that's been talked about a lot. You've been very open about what children go through in the entertainment industry and what you went through, the highs, the lows of that, what happens in the dark, so to speak. Do you think it's easier or harder for children today in the entertainment business?
I think it's all the same. It's all the same. Nothing's
Is it
changed. Yeah, nothing's changed, and it won't change until
even with social media? Is that played
no.
a part? No, it's still the same.
I mean, listen, there's some screening, there's some, groups and places to report and things like that. But bottom line is until the laws change within the industry, nothing's going to change.
And that's one of your passions, correct?
That is something that I had worked on for many, many years. I helped change a few laws in the state laws in California and New York to protect children, but I tried very hard to get laws changed at SAG, and there was no having it. So we'll just leave that alone.
I understand. Sometimes it's hard to make things happen. And let's just, like you said, let's just leave that one alone.
Yeah.
You also did some producing, and I did want to ask you, sometimes people associate you with people and your work that you did with Corey Haim and things like that, where you produced. I always like to ask, everybody knows or they think they know the story of Corey Feldman, or even the story when it was the two Coreys, work you did on the A&E show. What's something we don't know? It could be about making a project like that. It could, everybody thinks they know because they see
Well,
you because you're out there all the time. What's something we don't know?
that everything that I do is from love. I do everything that I do from love. I love children, and I love, people in general. I mean, there's a lot of, unfortunately, darkness out there. There's a lot of sick people, that aren't positive. I mean, there's sick people that you can help, and then there's sick people you can't help. And I just pray that the world heals. We just all need healing right now. We've been through a tough few years. All of us have been through a tough few years. I know I have. So I just, that's why we're going back out on this tour, and we're keeping it positive. And the tour last year was so much fun, and there was so much love involved. Uh, Sorry, it's just going to be a bit
That's
harder
fine.
now that I'm going through this separation with my wife, who's my musical partner. So it's going to be very hard for me performing for the first time without her.
Yeah.
On stage in like 10 years. So yeah.
Wow. Let me ask you this. And it's an interesting avenue to take with, and I'm just going to focus on your music.
Okay.
Music can be something you lose yourself in.
Yes.
When you're in pain or even victory or celebration, whatever it is, music can be something that helps. Music can be something that gets you through a tough time. So my question would be, your love of music when you were younger and you experienced tough times, did music help you then get through some of those times?
Music has helped in so many ways. I'm sorry. It's a magic, it's a type of magic. We all resonate on a certain vibration, and musical tonality, musical vibration, it all speaks to us in an undercurrent. That's through a pulse and a rhythm and a vibration. Even deaf people can hear music through the vibration. So I think it's a very, very powerful medium, the most powerful medium. I mean, literature is important, films are important, all sorts of art and expression is important, but music heals the soul. Music gives you hope. Music gives you enlightenment. Music gives you courage. Music gives you strength. Music gives you passion, and music gives you love. So that's why I'm challenging myself to embark on yet another tour and still find the love between the audience and the band. Sorry.
Would you consider this your dream? Living this out, being able to go out and do this and play music and tour and live audiences and all of that?
For sure. I mean, it's something I wanted very badly as a kid. And I remember it just being a fantasy for so many years. I started writing actual songs when I was about 14. So ever since then, I'd been recording, I'd been making music videos. I put all of this stuff together and I never released anything all the way
Yeah,
until 1993 because the industry didn't want to accept that I could do both. It was a lot of
interesting.
pushback. It was a lot of pushback, and there was uh, many people who felt that it was a joke if you were an actor. You couldn't possibly be serious about music, and God knows for years they tried to pigeonhole me. They tried to shut me down, try to act like I was insignificant in the music industry. But I knew the fans wanted it, and I knew that they loved it, and I knew that it was resonating, and I was communicating, I was getting through and raising the vibration. Oh boy, sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll
Uh,
keep talking. We
no,
mentioned.
my phone
Go ahead. I'm
called.
sorry.
Sorry. No,
That's
no,
all
there's just
right.
a call coming through. Sorry, I got rid
Technology,
of it.
we've got it. We deal with it every day.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, you mentioned about the what music has done for you, the dream that it is for you now, and that the pushback that you got. I'm
Mm,
gonna take you back to childhood again, but not where you think I'm going. You ready?
okay.
I think you were a big Kiss fan, were you not? The group Kiss.
Yes, yes, I was. That
Tell
was
me
one of my
about that,
first. Yes,
because
I
that's
mean,
theatrical now.
yeah, exactly. Well, that goes to show, I end up doing shows with lasers and smoke and bubbles and movies and all these kinds of things going on in the background and costumes and whatever. So I think a lot of that comes from, watching the big theatrical productions when I was young, like Kiss, MJ, the Bee Gees. I just always loved those big, sparkly shows. Stuff where there was a
Yeah.
lot of energy, a lot of love, a lot of magic. That's the idea.
And you mentioned writing a song. Did you not have a song that Michael Jackson looked at you and said, "This could be a number one hit" at one
That
point?
is true. That is true. That song is "What's Up with the Youth."
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a crazy story in and of itself. That someone like a Michael Jackson looks at Corey Feldman and says, "Man, this is a number one hit. That's got to carry weight." How did it?
well,
But you
you
didn't
would
want to
think
do
it
it,
would.
right?
You
Yeah,
would think it would.
exactly.
Well, basically, what happened was, and this story is told in my documentary. I have a
Yeah.
documentary called "Man Behind the Love," Corey Feldman, artist, "Man Behind the Love," which was directed by my good friend Jake Perry, and it's part of my Love Left 2.1 box set, which, by the way, is available on my website, coreyfeldman.net. You can get copies of it. It's 4 CDs, 2 DVDs, all the music that I wrote and recorded between 1986 and 1993 before I ever released my first album is available and on there for the first time, including my first music video. So, in all of that, yes, I was recording for a long time before I started releasing music. And right around 1992, I went and visited Michael on the set of In the Closet, the short film from his, I think it was Dangerous album.
Hmm.
And he was in the desert with Herb Ritz and Naomi Campbell. They were shooting In the Closet, and I went out there for that. And then we went back to his hotel afterwards, and we were just hanging out. I actually shot a little video of us, which is the only known video recording of us together. And during that time, I was like, hey, I've got this song I really want you to hear. Now, I'd been recording forever, but this was finally like a place where I thought this is something he actually might be able to appreciate. Because I didn't want
Right.
to play him any of my early stuff because it felt very immature. It wasn't ready yet. But anyway, so I played it for him, and he was like, Corey, this is a hit. This song could go number one for sure. And I was like, really? And he's like, yes, I could walk it into Tommy Mottola right now and I could get you a number one hit. I could get you a deal.
That's
And I'm
crazy.
like, I appreciate that, Michael, but I thought about it for a minute. I said, honestly, I wouldn't feel right about it. Um, I feel like if I'm going to do this, I got to do it on my own. And, you know, one day, hopefully they'll discover me. Hopefully one day they'll appreciate my music. But I feel like if I went in there with you, then I would just be the Michael Jackson kid or the Michael Jackson protege or whatever. And it would be a great hit, but that would probably be my only hit. And then my career would be over because it would be a flash in the pan. Versus, you know, trying to do it my own way, sticking with it, the dedication, the years and years and years of work and preservation. That's what it's about.
That's an amazing story. I mean, I'm not sure there's another person on the planet who can tell a story anything like that. I mean, that Michael Jackson says that to you, and you say, "Yeah, no." I'm not going to go
right?
do that. It's crazy, but it's a
Yeah, I
testament
probably
to
was
you.
crazy.
Nah.
Thank you. I probably should have taken his advice. It would have made the Today Show go a lot smoother. I can tell you that.
Well, but what's great and what I find interesting about the story is this: you have always had a way of doing it your way. You've gone against the grain. You haven't cowered. You've stood up for. We talked about the children and what you do with Child USA, what you've done with animal rights. It's always been this theme of yours to stand up, stick to your guns, even when it wasn't easy, even when it wasn't popular. And now,
easy.
and now we're
Never
sitting here
easy.
talking about music, which you said was very hard for people, not necessarily fans, to allow you into that world. And so in a way, what you did with Michael Jackson is not shocking. It's going to shock a lot of people to hear that, but it seems like a trend throughout your life where you've said, I'm sticking to what Corey Feldman loves and wants to do. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah. And even when you have the most powerful producer / musician in the world staring you in the face, and God knows that was a dream, right? Of course, as a kid, I would have loved that. I mean, and I don't know how at 19 I came up with that answer. I probably could have said a lot of things, but I just didn't want to be that guy using him really more than anything. Like I knew that there was always people around leeching off of him and trying to get something out of him.
Absolutely.
And I just didn't want to be that guy. And not to say that I wouldn't have liked the shortcut, because I would have liked the shortcut, of course. But I had to weigh it out. Do I want to be his real friend, or do I want to be just another guy that's getting something out of him? And then we'll probably never talk again.
How do you measure success in music? You've had a couple of top 40, I think, Billboard songs. You've signed now with Sony, which is a big, big deal. How does Corey Feldman measure success in music?
I think for me, it's just achieving higher and higher goals, and which seems to be happening. So that's really great. Our first hit single was I had hit singles that weren't on the top 40 Billboard charts. They were on other charts, which still count, but not Billboard. Like that's kind of the main goal. And so my first top 40 Billboard hit was Go For It back in 2016, I believe. And that went to number like 32 on the charts, I think, something like that. And then the next single that went to the top 40 was You Are Free, which was actually the title track of the documentary film My Truth that I put out in 2020. And we released the title track as a single. And that actually went all the way up to 19. So that was my highest ever top 20 hit. And then the last one we released, it was dedicated to my wife, Courtney, and that was last year.
Yeah.
And that one went to number 21, I think. So yes, hovering around the top 20. But I would like to get to the top 10 next. and eventually have my own number one single. So those are my goals, I think. And of course, bigger and better venues, bigger and better shows, always trying to improve and grow.
Okay, and that's what I kind of want to take you here. And I know you've got to get out and do rehearsals and all that kind of stuff, but take me to that, the excitement of what's coming for you in terms of touring, excitement and appreciation of what you've done in touring, that life, what that life is for. It's interaction with a live crowd. It's not on a movie screen. Right. So that different world for you.
I love it. I love my fans. And that's the only thing that's going to get me through this, because I'm in a honestly pretty sad place right now, going through a separation with my wife, the person that I've been with for 12 years. 12 years is a very long time. So it's going to be weird for me not seeing her up there on stage with me. It's going to be weird not having that connection and before and after the show, that safety. So it's putting a lot more pressure on the fans and having to express that love back and forth. So I have faith in my fans, though. I know that they're going to lift me as I lift them, and it's a reciprocal event. It's a love tour. So how can you have anything but love? The last time around was super positive. So I'm very excited to get back out there to see everybody again, to share some new stuff with them, because there's going to be new music on this tour. We're doing the biggest show of my career at Riot Fest, 40,000 people. So that's a very exciting event. I've done performances in front of crowds that size, but I've never done a full show in front of crowds that size. So very excited about that. Very excited to play a bunch of the venues. We're playing some really great theaters, some really great venues all across the country. And then next year, we're opening it up to international, and it'll become my first world tour. So we're just going to keep the train going and hopefully not slow down anytime soon. That's the plan.
Well, that's the beauty of where this is going to go. And
one other
go
thing.
Ahead. Go ahead.
One other thing that's very important for me to mention. I made a deal with the world's greatest toy maker and toy collectible in the world.
Corey, you read my mind. That's where I was headed.
Hey, you gotta say it,
baby.
That's right.
Tell us about
it. I'm so honored and thrilled. Really. I mean, that is such an honor. And I God bless that company. God bless everybody involved with them. They really surprised me with this one, but we announced it just 2 weeks ago at Comic-Con in San Diego. And, that's kind of the big reveal place. Like, everybody goes there to announce their stuff. So we announced, I came out on Funko Fun Days, which is on Friday. And it's like Camp Freddy, and they have this big giant Funko Pop thing. And it's just, oh my God, it's so much fun. You give out all these toys to everybody, and everybody loves it. So anyway, we are releasing. So there's been many Funko Pops of my characters. There's a Mouth Pop. There's a Donatello Pop. There's a Edgar Frog Pop. All these different pops of my characters. But I was in there meeting with the owner, Mike Becker, and we became really good friends. And he was like, "Look, we need to do something about you. It's great that you play all these characters, but you yourself are a cultural icon, and you need to have your own doll, And I was like, well, if we're going to do it, we should do something for my music collection, So we actually have an Ascension Millennium style Funko Pop. Cool. So it looks like me in my video Ascension Millennium, which is definitely one of my biggest videos, got millions and millions of views. And that outfit also comes in a variant, like all the pops do. So there's a glitter Corey variant, which is really cool. And they're only making 1,000 of those. So it's 3,000 of the regular pops, 1,000 of the variant. And it's awesome. It's a collectible. Yeah. So it's available now on my website, CoreyFeldman.net, where you can also buy my box set, my new album, Love Left 2 Army with Love. And you can also get VIP tickets for my upcoming tour, which starts next month in September. So the Funko Pop is literally limited availability. There's only 4,000 in total being made, and they won't be shipping until Christmas, which means between now and Christmas, this is your time to purchase one or two, get them signed. We give you all the options. CoreyFeldman.net.
I love it. That's awesome. And look, everybody who's listening, get out there, get the Funko Pop. Be one of the first to get it, or you're not going to get one. Those things are hot. I never knew what they were. Then I found out what they were, and it was amazing that it led to what you were doing here with the Funko Pop. And it does. It puts a smile on your face. And let's end it in that place where we've got a smile talking about a Funko Pop and what Corey Feldman is getting ready to do with his music on tour, bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people who have loved him and been fans of his for a long time, and allow them to give that back to you. It's probably the best thing everybody can do for you right now.
God
Corey,
bless
we appreciate you, man. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Appreciate you being on the show. We wish you the best. Best of luck on the tour, man.
Things
calm
Peace
down
and love,
a little bit.
everybody.
Things calm down a little bit. We'll bring you back. We'll catch up again.
Yeah, I'll play you my new single when it's ready. Okay,
we'll
you guys
do
a copy. Okay.
Thank you, Corey. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks to Corey Feldman for being on the show. Again, it's CoreyFeldman.net. Go there, get all the information, whatever you need on the Funko Pop, the tour, VIP, seats, do all that. Get out there and support Corey Feldman in everything, all his endeavors, everything that he does. That'll wrap it up for this episode of The Edge of It All. Be sure to listen to us on UBN Go International Network, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, across all podcast streams as well as social media. Please like, follow, subscribe, do all of that. And thank you again to Discount Tires for sponsoring this podcast. They're in Sherman Oaks, California. Don't forget to mention the Edge of It All podcast. Get your freebie and become part of the Discount Tires family. Again, thanks to friend of the show now, Corey Feldman, for sharing his incredible story, his thoughts, his insights. Support his music. We appreciate him. We appreciate everyone for listening to The Edge of It All, the story behind the story, where every other week you will get a new episode with inside scoop you have never heard before. Before we get out of here, let's take a minute and listen to a little bit of Corey Feldman's music.
She got blood in her eyes.